All right, all right. So day 4 of virtual class with Mr. Miles was a success. All right, so this is day 4 of virtual class with Mr. Miles, and the Intro to Office Productivity students have started to learn about word processing. Now, in class, we discussed that word processing is about creating and formatting documents. Now, it doesn't matter what kind of document, but creating and formatting documents. That's what word processing is. Now, we're starting the unit on word processing, and we're going to be learning about business documents. Now, we talked about the various business documents that we're going to learn, but we started today learning and creating agendas. So that's what I want to show you how to do now. So to start, go ahead and open up a blank Google Doc. Go ahead and open up a blank Google Doc, and we're going to begin creating our agenda. Now, in class, we came to the conclusion that an agenda is basically a schedule. And we all know, and we can use our imagination to determine that a schedule can be created for just about anything. Okay? But before we begin creating our agenda, we want to first make sure we give our document a name. All right? That way, whenever we go to retrieve this document and we need to submit it, we will not have any issues finding it. You know, it's a bad idea to have a bunch of untitled documents in your Google Drive because you'll have to look through them individually to find out if that's what you're looking for or not. So make sure you name it. All right. Now, while we're up here in this section, it's important to point out the ribbon. Now, the ribbon you see is this area all across the top of the screen. This is the ribbon. And in the ribbon are all of your formatting options. All right. And as the semester goes by, we will be learning how to use the majority of these features. All right. All of these links and tabs, they all have specific purposes. And it's going to be exciting to be able to teach you these things. Now, I also explained in class that Google Docs is not the only word processing software. There's also Google Slides, and Google Sheets is another word processor. And they're all used for various reasons. But depending on what you're working on and the type of document you'll need to create, you'll choose one software over the other. And we also mentioned that Microsoft was really the business standard for word processing. So I just want you all to remember that. Microsoft Word, you can basically say Microsoft Word did it first, but I'm sure there were some other startups before Microsoft Word really got established. But let's jump into this document here and create this agenda. So we're going to create an event agenda. So there's an event that's taking place and we need to create an agenda for it. All right. I'm going to keep my text the same size. We're not going to do too many editing. We're just going to just create the format of the agenda. You know, afterwards, you can decide to change the font type if you want and add some color. You can do all of that later. So this is an event agenda. All right, now that text is bolded and it is underlined. And I also have it center aligned. So after you do that, press enter to go down to the next line. We're going to keep it bold, but we're going to turn the underline off. So this event is going to be a Comic-Con cosplay convention. A Comic-Con cosplay convention. All right, and this is going to take place in Fayetteville. All right, so any agenda should have this basic information. You need to have the organization and the type of event it is. You need to have the location. You need to have the date. So this is going to be next Saturday, which is the 29th. And it's going to be from 7:30 until 4. All right, 7:30 until 4 is the Comic-Con invention. All right, so what we just created there is our heading. This is the heading for the document. All right, having a heading is important, because there's a lot of very important information in the heading, and that is clearly the case. So after that is complete, press enter twice so that we can have some space in between our heading and the body of our document. All right, so now that we have our space, we're going to align our text to the left. Step out, son. All right, now that we have our space, we're going to align our text to the left, and now it's time to create some labels. Now, the labels we're going to create are time. The next one is going to be segment, but before we type the word segment, we have to create tab stops, because basically the information is going to run vertically down the page. So it's going to be a list of times, a list of segments, and also a list of hosts for this event. It's going to be a list of hosts, but we have to create a tab stop first. And to do that, you need to click inside the ruler. Notice where these numbers are. That is the ruler. This is the ruler, okay? And our first tab stop position is going to be at the 1.5 on the ruler. So click there, and we're going to add a left tab stop. And if you press the tab key on your keyboard, notice how the cursor jumps directly to that spot. That's what we wanted to do. So type the word segment. All right, there's going to be multiple segments at this convention. All right, so that's segments. Now let's type our next label. Our next label is going to be host, because for each segment, there's going to be a particular person orating, speaking at that particular moment. So this tab stop position is going to be at the 6.5 on the ruler. Now you may not be able to get there, but we can add it. So this one's going to be a right tab stop. All right, add right tab stop, and then we can drag it to where we want it to be. Now, if you create extra tab stops, all you have to do is just drag it off of the ruler and it goes away. But this one we want at the 6.5, and it's going to be a right tab stop. So press tab, the cursor jumps all the way over there to the other side of the page. And here we're going to type host.
I need you to do me a couple
all right, so we're going to put all of our hosts on that column. All right, so press enter. It's going to bring us down to the next
Bundle your home and car insurance with
line.
It's easy,
All right,
and we can
before
save
we
money.
continue, I want to make sure we change our line spacing. All right, and to change, the reason we're changing the line spacing is because we don't want our text to be so close to each other. So we want to have it spread out so that it's easily readable.
Listen.
All right, so click here to the line spacing button, and by default it's set at 1.15, but we're going to double space it. All right, we're going to double space it, and it gives us just the amount of space we need. So the first segment of the convention is going to be at 7:30 a.m. And notice how I turned my bold feature off for this text. All right, so at 7:30, everyone will begin with refreshments and small talk. So everyone will arrive to this event dressed in all of their cool clothing, and they get to have some light hors d'oeuvres, some drinks before the actual events begin. And there's no host for this particular segment. All right, so why didn't that? Let me check my line spacing again. Make sure it's double space. All right, so this is going to last for about 30 minutes. So at 8 o'clock, 8:30, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, it's supposed to be 8 o'clock. So at 8 o'clock, there will be an introduction. So everyone will start to settle, and someone will come to the stage to speak, and they'll provide an introduction and opening remarks. Basically, letting everyone know what the expectations are for the day and what the agenda is. All right, they'll more than likely be reading from this particular document. All right, and the person that's going to be doing that is going to be Miss Sakura Hundora. I probably spelled that wrong. Miss Sakura Hundora. Okay. All right. So press enter. We'll move on down. So this is going to not take very long, maybe about 10 minutes. So at 8:10, we'll begin the first event. So press tab to take us to the segment. And the first event is the Marvel cosplay competition. The Marvel cosplay competition. Let me check my spelling because I butchered these words. Competition. Thank God for spell check, grammar check. All right, and this segment of the convention will be hosted by Mr. Steven Rogers. All right, Mr. Steven Rogers will host the Marvel cosplay competition. And each competition has a time limit of about an hour. So after Marvel has their shot, everyone dressed in their Marvel wear, after they're judged and the winner is awarded, will begin the DC cosplay competition. So all of the DC fans will be dressed in their favorite costumes, and Miss Lois Lane will be hosting this segment of the convention. All right, so after we do that, type that, press enter. All right, so the DC cosplay competition will last about an hour or two. So at 10:10 a.m. tab, all right, we'll begin the Japanese pop culture. So all the manga fans, the anime fans, they'll have their shot to show off their costumes and win their prizes. All right, and this is going to be hosted by Mr. Aaron Yeager. Mr. Aaron Yeager will host the Japanese pop culture competition. All right, but there's going to be different areas of pop culture that are going to be visible for everyone. So it's not just going to be Japanese pop culture as a whole, but we're going to break it down into little subcategories. All right, so we're going to press tab because we don't need a time there, and we're going to create a bulleted list. No. All right, so for the Japanese pop culture segment of the convention, we need to break it down a little further because there's going to be multiple segments for this particular category. And on the next line, make sure you press tab because there's not going to be any specific times, but we do want to create bullets. So we'll come up here to our ribbon and we're going to create a bulleted list. And this bullet is not where we want it to be. So if you press the tab key, press it twice, and it will align right underneath the segments. So the first segment in Japanese pop culture is the My Hero Academia cosplay. All right. And Mr. Aaron Yeager is still hosting this event, this particular segment. So the next one is going to be Attack on Titan cosplay. And then after that, I think they said, let's press enter, Naruto. All right. Naruto cosplay. All right, press enter. And there was another one. Let's say Death Note. All right, and we'll do one more. Let's say JoJo's Bizarre Adventure was another cosplay event that was going to take place. All right, so that's it for all of our categories of Japanese pop culture. All right. And all of these will last about 30 minutes. So that'll be 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours and a half. So no longer than about 2 hours total for all of those. So press enter twice and it will bring you down to the next line. So if we add 2 hours to 10 o'clock, that would bring us to 12:10. All right. And at 12:10, there will be lunch and mingling. All right. So there's going to be lunch at the venue and people get to gather and mingle. All right. So, and there's no host for that particular segment. So lunch is going to be about an hour and a half. So we'll say at 1:30, things will proceed and they will have a video screening. All right, there's going to be a video screening and we're going to press enter and we'll press tab. And the video screening is going to be of the My Hero Academia movie. I forgot what it was called. Heroes, ... something like that. All right. And there is no host for there either. So NA. So the movie's about 2 hours long, they say. So at 3:30 will be closing remarks. So they're going to wrap things up after the movie with some closing remarks. And Miss Sakura Hundora will be hosting the closing remarks. All right, so that is it. So after the closing remarks, not much needs to happen. Probably, the place gets cleaned up. But as far as in the agenda, no, nothing else needs to be documented. So, all right, guys, this is our first agenda. Not bad for a cosplay event. Okay. Now, this is a simple version of creating an agenda. Now, depending on the agenda that depending on the agenda that is being created, it may not look like this. There's more than one way to do most of everything. So this is not the only way to create an agenda. It's just a way to do it. And during this lesson, you all learned how to create tab stops. So if you didn't know how to do that before, you should know how to do it after this lesson. And it just takes some practice. This will not be the only agenda we do. We're going to do another more advanced agenda. Okay, and we'll talk about that later. I just want to point out that everything we just did can also be done in Microsoft Word, and it can be done very similar in the same way that we just did it. It may look a bit different, but how to do it is pretty much the same. Okay, so that concludes this video. I hope everything is understood. And if you have any questions or if you have any concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out to me in email or just give me a holler during class. And that concludes this video. Thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your day.